We are coming to you from outside the parliament. In fact, this is history in the making. Nirmala Sitharaman, the finance minister of the country, is going to present the union budget for the 7th consecutive time, surpassing the records of people like Morarji Desai. The economic survey is going to be tabled today at about 1 p.m. The economic survey is going to also point out to indications as to what the budget could seem like and, what the state of our economy is. In 2022, in fact, the economic survey did focus a lot on the agile approach that the country had when it came to countering something like the COVID pandemic. In 2023, it was all about the recovery that the country put in place, the recovery mechanism that the country put in place to handle geopolitical situation like the Ukraine-Russia war and also the fallout of COVID-19 on economy. So the economic survey is going to get tabled at around 1 p.m. today. And of course, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will give his customary media bite around 10 a.m. in which he is also expected to talk about the importance of dialogue and discussion, something that we saw play out in the all-party meeting yesterday with the ministers insisting that there should have not been any disruptions when the Prime Minister spoke last time during the oath-taking ceremony. In fact, he was replying to the President's message there, and the opposition did continue disrupting his speech, while the opposition has insisted that it will raise slogans, it will talk about, it has asked for time to talk about the NEET controversy, the politics that's playing out in UP over the nameplates of the shops that come on the covered yatra, apart from that, jobs, and also more importantly the Manipur conflict. The political situation in the parliament now is slightly different from what we saw in the last 10 years. The NDA BJP is dominant with 240 MPs, but the NDA with 293 MPs, but clearly the BJP does not have majority of its own. How much of that is going to impact the budget, the first budget under Modi 3.0, because this is the government that will try to walk the tightrope between balancing out the state's aspirations. Remember, at least 3 states have asked for special category status, with BJP's own allies, TDP and JDU, in some ways toning down their aspirations. But at the same time, there are questions on federalism. And of course, more importantly, there will be impetus on jobs and also Yuva Shakti, something that the government is very focused on. Let me go across to my guest, Gopal Krishna Agarwal, who is the spokesperson of the BJP. Thank you, Mr. Agarwal, for speaking to NDTV. You are an economist yourself. Tell us, sir, does the reduced number of the BJP mean anything when it comes to budget, when it comes to aspirations or the economic priorities of the government? Is that going to be slightly different from what we saw in 2014 and 2019?
No, I don't think that is the real situation on the ground, because already it's an NDA government and we have the full majority. The issue is that there is a clear-cut consensus on that if India has to grow, it has to be an economic power. And for that, it requires a strong economy. There are clear-cut issues where the government has to work, where private sector has to work. On the economic side, if all the macroeconomic parameters are very strong, robust, and therefore the challenges are also clear. So I think there is a clear roadmap on which the government has to walk, and there is a consensus on that. So I think there will be no difficulty on these issues. If the opposition doesn't want the governance issues to take front seat, then there may be some problems, but ultimately the public opinion for economic growth and reforms is very clear, and everybody will have to fall in line in that scenario.
Right. Vijay Kumar of the TDP also joins us now. Vijay Kumar, in the last few days, we did see Chandrababu Naidu make a lot of visits to Delhi. In fact, he has had several meetings with ministers. There is insistence on special packages. TDP is not really asking for special category status, something that has been denied by the government to all states, considering the recommendations of the 14th Finance Commission. But of course, there's a lot for the state that you're asking. You're asking for special packages. You're asking for newer airports. At the same time, you're also asking for the state's economy to be built so that you can actually focus on Polavaram and Amravati. But politically also things are sort of hotting up for you, because Jagan Mohan Reddy is going to be in Delhi tomorrow. He's going to speak about political violence that's playing out in Andhra. How are you going to manage both of this, sir? Because on one hand, you are the most important constituent of the NDA. In fact, the budget is expected to have a lot of things for Andhra Pradesh. At the same time, there's also Jagan Mohan Reddy trying to also get some sort of political attention.
Okay, I start with, political thing. Jagan Mohan Reddy is simply saying a bunch of lies. Why? Because there's something like a police department, there's something like administration in the whole of the country. Jagan Mohan Reddy is saying that around 71 people have died in the last 45 days. No police cases were filed, and no YCP people have visited. From where come he has got all those figures? He's saying that almost 1,000 people who are indicted with 307 thing, and around 1,000 government properties for destroyed. He has given to the government also. We from the TDP, before he comes to Delhi and organize his so-called dharna, we just request him to just give the names of the people who have died. He's saying that 36 people have committed suicide and 35 people have been killed by TDP cadre. Please, sir, Mr. Jagan Mohan Reddy, we request you to please give the names. Just names and the areas from there they hail on. All this is bunch of lies. He is just peddling lies. He is going to make a fool of himself in New Delhi.
Okay. Let me go across to
Then
Gopal
coming
Krishna
to-
Agarwal. Mr. Agarwal, there's a lot of discussion about the capex, the kind of capital expenditure that the government has been undertaking in the last few years. In fact, the government's expenditure on infrastructure has actually hit 3.47%, which is actually quite impressive. 11.5 lakh crore dedicated to just infrastructure growth. But there's also insistence on building quality infrastructure, sir. Is that something that the government will be looking at? Because be it the quality of bridges, be it rail safety, that is something that people are asking for. And also, does that also mean that the private investments are not coming as much as the government would have expected?
Surely you have raised an important issue. Important is that the government should continue with its infrastructure investment. One thing is that the infrastructure has multifarious effect and catalyze the economy. It creates ease of living, ease of doing business, reduction in cost of logistics, and it also creates demand in the economy. So the government is bound to continue with its investment drive on the infrastructure. It has continuously increased its level of investment. Second thing is we are also very much conversant that private investment has to build up. There was certain issues with the private investment because there was overcapacity at some point of time. I think that overcapacity in the manufacturing and industrial sector is now completely utilized and it will drive. But some issues about the debt is also important because government borrowing at times sometimes drives out the private borrowing. So government is looking after cheap credit for the private sector, cheaper credit, and for that, so that private investment will build. So we are understanding the challenges, we are understanding the requirement of the economy. We have a clear roadmap. I think we also should understand the change that the public sector undertaking over the last 10 years have created in the whole economic system. They are also investing hugely on the capex.
Right.
If you
Yes, sir.
the PPP investments
Yeah.
policy, you find huge investment by them also, in addition to what the government is doing.
Absolutely. That is something that has been the highlight of all of the government's budgets. In fact, if you look at one constant in all the 9 budgets that have been presented till now, it is in fact the expenditure on infrastructure. Thank you so much, Mr. Agarwal, and thank you, Vijay Kumar, for joining us on this broadcast. Well, important day today. The economic survey is going to be tabled at around 1 p.m. today. The Prime Minister, in a short while from now, will be giving that customary media bite. And of course, the opposition is all pepped up to put forward that aggressive front when it comes to asking for this probe on NEET. But incidentally, today is also the day when the Supreme Court is expected to give its order on the NEET controversy. So clearly an important day full of political developments, and the budget gets presented tomorrow. Historic budget in the making, as Draupadi Murmu, the President of India, has already said that there'll be a lot of focus. The Prime Minister has said that he is working 24/7 for the 2047 vision of Viksit Bharat, which is going to be the central theme of the budget that's going to be presented tomorrow, the first budget under Modi 3.0. We are getting you all those updates. Keep watching NDTV.